Let's say you're a teacher and your task is to count the number of students that are in your classroom. You have a database with your student's name and you want to do the analysis using SQL. How do you actually count the number of students in your class? To do this, we have the count function in SQL that lets you count the number of rows in one or more columns. For example, we have this code that actually gives you the number of rows in the people's table. So in our database, we have another table called the people table, and if you want to count the number of rows in that table, you can use the count and the asterisk wildcard. So this code will just retrieve the total number of rows in that table. Let's try it out. Alright, over here in the query tool, we can try the function. First, let's see all the columns in this table. Since we're working with the people's table, so we can do select all the column from people. So we're working with this people table. Alright, you'll find out that in this table we have a lot of null values. In some columns we have null values like this death date and birth date. If we want to get the total number of rows, we can use the count function here. So count. And let's run this. We can see that there are 8,397 rows in the people table. This function with the asterisk, it's going to tell you the number of records that are there in the table, even if there are some missing values in that table. So yeah, it's mentioned here, count with the asterisk tells you how many rows are in a table. It also includes missing values. But if you want to count the number of non-missing values that are in a particular column, then you can use the count function on just that column. For example, if I want to count the number of birth dates present in the people's table, I can use it this way. Select count and I can put in the birth date column there exactly. So it's like saying, okay, how many records do I have in this table where the birth date isn't missing? So let's try to see if we're going to get a different count. Now here, all I need to do is modify the query and put in the exact column name, because once I put in a column name, then it's going to count the number of non-missing values. This simply means it's going to ignore the missing values. It won't count values that are missing. It will just focus on non-missing values. So birth, small items, birth date. Okay, let's run this. Remember the original, all the rows in the database 8,397. So let's see if it's going to be the same or it will be different. And now we have 6,152. This means there are a lot of missing values in this birth date column. Let's go over it again. If you want to count all the records in a table, whether they are missing or not missing, then you use the asterisk. That will give you the complete count. But if you just want to focus on the non-missing values, then you have to put in the column name, and that will count the non-missing value in that particular column. We've been able to see the number of records where there are non-missing birth dates. Let's try to do the same for the death dates. And we can see that the death dates, it's less. We only have 787 records where they are death dates. So this could actually mean that most of the people in this data are still alive and don't have a death date. So that's one possibility. It's also possible to count the number of unique values. When you're doing data analysis, you find out that it's a common practice for you to count the number of unique values in a column. We can do this by combining the count function and the distinct keyword, and this will actually give us the number of unique values. As an illustration, we can see this query here: select count distinct birth dates from people. We're going to count the number of distinct birth dates. So if two people share the same birth date in this data set, we're only going to count one of them. Let's try this out in Postgres. So I'm going to add a distinct. And I'm interested in birth date, so let me modify the column and change it to birth date. Let's see all the unique birth dates that we have in this table. All right, so we have 5,398 unique birth dates. Let's use another example. Let's use the films table. So going back to the films table, films. Let's just select everything. Let's view all the columns first in the films table. Now let's use the title. Let's say I want to count all the movies in this table. I can use count. And select everything. So I want to count all the rows in this table. And I see that there are 4,968 rows in this films table. Okay, let me try counting the number of movies in the title column. This way I'm going to know if there are any missing values, because if the number doesn't match 4,968, then there's probably a missing value. So the number matches. This means that there are no missing values in the title column. Everything is complete. Now, how about I count the number of unique movies? Like, let's see, will I still get the same number? Are all the movies in this table unique, or are there like duplicates? This is going to tell us. I'm adding distinct to count the number of different movies. And yeah, we see that there's a change, meaning there's some movies repeated, there's some duplicate movies. So now we can see that the true number of unique movies in this table is 4,844. So I hope with this example you understand how to use count with the asterisk to count all the rows in a table, and how to use count with a specific column name to count all the non-missing values in that column, and how to use count distinct to get the number of unique records in a table. Here are some exercises you can try in your own just to practice. You can run this and let me know in the comment section what you got for the count of number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just let me know what you got in the comment section of this video. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you when I see you.